Hey everybody, I'm Monji. That's Ryan.
Still Ryan.
And I'm Bananas Dan.
Do we want to try that again?
Hi everybody, I'm Monji.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Dan.
Bananas Dan is here with us today.
Bananas Dan.
And we are talking about the pride of the Legion Rite of War in the Horus Heresy.
I'm still Bananas Dan.
You sure are.
All right. All right.
Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about the Pride of Legion Rite of War, and this is going to be a series of videos where we talk about the different generic rites of war and how your Legion can be affected by them and which ones are going to fall kind of all over the place inside these rites of war. So our idea here is to help you utilize the rules and your army to get the best out of them.
Yeah, and this is a crazy rite of war to start with.
So walk us through the Pride of the Legion, Monji.
All right, so the Pride of the Legion, this is a rite of war you can make actually right out of the Age of Darkness box with all the models that are there. So the big thing it lets you do is you get to take Legion Veteran Squads, Legion Cataphracti Terminator Squads, and Legion Tartaros Squads as troops. And any units of those that you take as your compulsory troops, your first two troops, also gain lines. They get to hold objectives.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't come without a drawback. The drawback is you get one heavy support and you get one fast attack, and you can't have more vehicles or non-infantry than you do infantry.
Yeah. Okay. And, you know, as far as kind of drawbacks and things like that, we're going to talk about kind of where the legions fall inside this tier list and which legions can best take, you know, most benefit of this rite of war. So let's dig into it.
Which ones get the jankiest and which ones just can't take it?
Exactly. So where do you want to start, Monji?
I think we got to start with Magnus's favorite sons.
Magnus's favorite sons. The controversial Thousand Sons.
There's only 1,000 of them.
So, interesting Legion, and I really like the idea that they are so focused in the psychic phase. So, what are the drawbacks of the psychic phase and having a unit that isn't as consistent?
So obviously, right, you're going to get like your casters at your sergeant leadership. So all the sergeants of Thousand Sons are psychers. So they're casting spells like they were, you know, regular characters, but there's just a smaller list of spells they get to cast from. The big thing here to me is that there's two spells that are completely insane on Terminator squads.
Right.
The first is whenever they move, do a psychic check to get +3 inches to their movement, which will give them a bonus to their charge roll. And, you know, Terminators, Cataphracti can't run, but the Tartaros squads can, the veteran squads can.
Right.
This lets you have a really fast unit that will be a real threat in melee. The other thing that I really dig here is their +1 vulnerable save spell.
Okay.
So whenever you move a unit within 12 of an enemy unit, psychic check, if you pass it, +1 to your invuln save. That takes your Tartaros Terminators to a 4-up, your Cataphracti to a 3-up. Yeah. And this is just like real perfect for squads that are going to be like in the mix and rumbling against other elite infantry.
Yeah, I mean, it makes them pretty darn OP. As long as you pass the psychic check, which, much to the internet's consternation, isn't that hard. It's what, 50-50? We did
it's
the
a
math.
50-50. Right. It's basic math here. So
it's better than a 50-50. 8 is higher than 7. 7 is the average on a D6.
Sure. Slightly
I'll fight you about it, internet, but it's fine.
Okay. So Thousand Sons address two other weaknesses of having elite infantry. One, it adds speed to them, and two, it adds durability, so you can get there and really, you know, kind of press your advantage.
Yeah, the downside is that they are psychic powers. You're not going to get them all the time.
Right. So around 50-50, it's going to be a strug sometimes, but, you know, you'll get there. I like them kind of in the A column, and of course we'll be filling in more, so they might shift a little bit here and there.
Yeah. One other thing to consider here is that, you know, transports, your Land Raiders, your Spartans, are still a valuable is a word.
Viable?
There we go. There we go.
Nailed it.
Sweet. English. I majored in it once.
Best 6 months of my life.
So, you do get Land Raiders, you do get Spartans for the Cataphracts,
right.
And the Tartaros. You do get Rhinos for the veterans. Like, you can still make this a fairly quick unit without the spells, but I really like the utility of the spells, and the bonus to charge is immense.
Absolutely.
It's huge.
Yeah,
it's really big. What's
Dan.
next? What do I think? Well, we'll pick the DA and get him out of the way because that's all I know. So we were talking about this earlier. We're pretty sure they're like in the high Bs.
Okay.
Or B-ish. It comes down to how much conversion work you want to do. If you really wanted to take a veteran squad and take the time to put a bunch of power swords on them and have 2 dudes take plasma guns and turn those into plasma burners, they're pretty darn nasty. They're going to have a high weapon skill. They're going to have a bonus if you make them Deathwing to hit. So that's already pretty ugly when everybody's got swords. Calibanite Warblade is a character killer in a sword, if you want it to be. And having them flanked with 2 plasma burners is ridiculous. Now, to actually do that, you would need 2 plasma burners from an Interruptor kit, only available at Forge World. You would have to source all the power swords, and you'd have to get creative with the Sergeant. So it's a lot of work. Not a lot of people are going to do it. And at the end of the day, I think it still puts them in the middle of the road. They don't get any other tricks or anything like that.
They're not really buffing their movement. They're not really enhancing durability, but you are making them pretty killy once they get there.
They're exceptionally killy. Now, that being said, a veteran squad tricked out to be that killy is like 350 points at a 10-man squad. So, I mean, it's not... They're super killy, but you're paying for it, which is why we got them in the middle of the road.
You could give power swords to Cataphracti Terminators, right? And that's... pretty good too.
You could if you want to again take all the time to convert them. So
I would say another thing that kind of dampens down the Dark Angels a bit here is they have their own Legion version of this because Dark Angels just get better versions of most things.
Most of the generics
now
they're better versions.
We'll cover this some other day, but honestly I would almost take Pride of the Legion over their version.
Really?
Yeah, their version. There's like a whole thing about like if you're not pinning or having everybody retreat, you lose victory points to those units not retreating.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like if you don't wipe the board with them from your OP-ness, you lose. Pride of Legion is just one of those ones where you can really get janky with it, and their jankiness is good, but it's not the best as we get further into the list.
I mean, just as a caveat here, some of the legions are really going to be beneficial with veterans, and other legions are really going to be strong with, the Terminators. And it's wise to know, where your strength is as a legion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, I know this is Monji's favorite. The internet had some choice words, so let's talk about Ultramarines, Monji.
Yeah, they're bad in this.
They're bad in this?
They're bad.
How bad?
So, the Ultramarines, you're in Pride, you have the option of shooty Terminators, which is Reaper autocannons, basically. So it's fine. You can do, like, some combi weapon builds in the Terminator squads. You could do, like... combi Volkite maybe, and it's fine.
Volkite.
But sort of where I've ended up, and I am actually like building this for an event later this year. So I've done a lot of thinking on this.
The Smurfs show.
Right.
It's one of their core issues is the Ultramarines Legion trait is bonuses to shooting. Terminator shooting is fine. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
And veterans, you can make them a shooting unit too. There's an argument about like, sure, I'll just give them like the sniper rifles and it'll be great. But I could also just run like recon squads.
Right.
Like there's, I struggle to come up with a reason to run this in Ultramarines, except for the fact that Terminators look really good in blue and gold. And that's kind of enough reason for me.
I mean, they look okay, but okay.
So D tier for me, 100%.
D tier.
100%.
Tragic. Okay. All right. So you heard it, internet. Monji.
Start the complaining.
Who's got more Ultramarines than I know?
Anybody else to
own? D tier.
He might have more Ultramarines than half of England.
I don't think I have more Ultramarines than Nick Baton, but I think I'm close.
Okay, good. I don't know. Who
Nick we should talk sometime.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Let's talk about I like Space Wolves. Let's do Space Wolves.
They're high A to me.
High A.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, they always have an ability that's turned on. There's no rolls for it.
Well, you get to abuse the crap out of some veteran squads here.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. You don't want to take Cataphracti squads with them, probably.
No, because you can't run, so you don't get your bonus.
So you want to take Tartaros and you want to take veterans.
It's also a funny note here that combi bolters are twin linked, so you're hitting on 6s, re-rolling.
Hitting on 6s?
So when they run, they can still shoot.
Right.
But they only hit on 6s.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Oof.
Essentially snap firing.
Oh.
So they're hilarious. They're very interesting just because of their simplicity, I think.
Yeah.
You know, the game plan is run across the board, punch you in the face.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's literally their game plan.
And I think if you go with the Indomitus Terminator build, so Indomitus Terminators are one of the Legacy of Darkness units, and they're normally a troop choice, but they're a support squad, so they don't gain line. In Pride of the Legion, they lose support squad and gain line.
Right.
So a bunch of Space Wolves running around with Thunder Hammers and Storm Shields can really make someone's day very short.
Yeah, and it definitely enhances their durability, so, you know, and you're also getting there quicker. I wouldn't be surprised if you run across the table in 2 turns.
Yeah.
ABC. Wound on 3s.
Right, yeah.
Always
be charging.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Space Wolves definitely high in Pride of Legion for sure.
Okay. I'm going to put them as high A. I think that you're right there. You know, they're just so good at what they do, and it's a wave you have to find a rock to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's also a really fun way to run Legion Russ.
Absolutely. March around with big Lehman Russ himself and a whole auxiliary squad there of Terminators.
Yeah.
All right. Let's look for something in the S tier. What do you guys
Sons of Horus.
Sons of Horus.
We were going over just how nasty they were in the planning section.
What makes them nasty?
How are you putting it, Monj? It's the axes?
Yeah, every unit that can take a power weapon instead gets the way better power weapon in the Carsoran Power Axe.
The Carsoran
AP3 Power Axe.
It's AP3, but
Rending, Shred.
breaching 5.
Breaching 5. Shred?
I don't think it has Shred.
Okay.
If only I had a book.
Take a look. It's in a book. A rule book.
Anyway, it doesn't matter because AP3 is already something that you don't want a 10-man squad to just be swinging on you.
Right. The other benefit is their close...
Melee breaching 5.
Melee breaching 5. Perfect.
Oh, God.
The other benefit, of course, is when you get into close combat, they get nasty.
Yeah, the -1 strength to units in melee is really potent here because as an alternative list, you're going to be in melee. You're going to be in the mix. You're going to be fighting it out. And being able to tamp down a lot of the strength 8 melee that's running around and weather that storm is a huge deal.
Yeah. You just have to be kind of watch out to not get shot off the board getting into combat, but once you're there, you are super hard to remove.
Yeah. Yeah. I really, really like Pride for Sons of Horus. I think it's a great way to build the box too, because running even veterans in Sons of Horus, you get massive benefit. The Bane Strike bolters that they get to take fit perfectly in too. Yeah.
And you can do like a really ultra elite, like if you actually take the time to get your 58-piece Horus Ascended on.
Yeah, right.
And you drop Juiced Horus in that list. That's...
Well, you're not going to find that Juiced Horus in anything shy of 4,000 points. So most games aren't going to see him, but I mean...
Doesn't he bypass that with the Primarch?
No, he's 1,000 points.
1,000 points. So you got to... You know, you're not going to see him too often in sub, 4,000 point games, but he's still awesome.
Where you get to watch him cleave a Warhound in half.
Right. The other benefit here is that this is, like you said, one of the perfect legions to build out of the box because you also get a Spartan, which, helps you survive getting across the field.
At least turn 2.
Right. You get a flare shield, it's fine.
You get a flare shield and some las weapons, you're fine.
You're fine.
All right. What are you guys feeling?
Let's talk world eaters. Let's talk
world eaters.
The talk of the town with their new 40k codex, where they did not get new Terminator sculpts, and I'm not incredibly mad about it.
You seem mad about it, Monji.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Look, Thousand Sons got Terminators. Death Guard got 2 Terminators. It's weird that I expected to get Terminators. Really.
I'm so bitter I could eat the whole world.
But you do get veterans. You get Kit Bashful veterans.
That's true. That's true. The new Berserker kits are fantastic for your elite world eater troops, I think. But unfortunately, I think in Pride of the Legion, they're a firmly C tier kind of army.
Yeah, I think probably low B, C tier is probably where I'd put them. They don't have a lot going for them in terms of the actual abilities you gain from Legion or from Pride, and that's mostly because some of your Terminators just can't run.
Yeah, right. Basically you have to take Tartaros or veterans to make this list mostly functional, and I feel like you're still relying on getting the charge off. You're going to need to run a bunch of transports, and at that point, like, why not just run the guys who do it better?
Right.
Now, that isn't to say that,
they
like...
can take a bunch of chain axes, can't they? But that really doesn't do you much.
I mean, so that gives you Strength 5 and Shred on your veterans, because veterans, I believe, get chain swords automatically.
Right. You'll have the weapon skill, too, so...
Right. And that is a big deal, but I feel like I could do that, or I could run Rampagers.
Right.
Or I could run, like
or I've got all these other units that do it better.
Right. And that's kind of how I feel about, like, Pride can work for them, but I just think, like, they don't get a lot of mileage out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you on that, simply because, you know, as we were saying, you know, they don't really get to benefit from Pride of Legion as much.
Yeah.
And also, they still have the issue of getting into combat. They don't have any real bonuses to get them there where they're going to be effective.
Yeah.
And also, their Legion trait really only triggers on the charge. Yeah. So you have to make those charges.
Yeah. Yeah. World Eater is not an army that you want to roll low on, that's for sure.
No. It's ABC, and you want to roll high.
Talking about an army that you should roll low on, Alpha Legion.
Alpha Legion. Okay.
What are we thinking?
I thought they were like a C or a D at best, right? I mean, they really don't get to exploit their Alpha Legion-y stuff with this one.
So they get their advanced reaction of the redeploy, which is really funny with Terminators. Like,
yeah, sure.
Here's this big brick of 10 guys you're going to come in and try to kill because they're, like, sitting on a point and you need to kill them. And they're like, all right, bye, see ya.
Right.
You know, and that's, I think that's really funny. I don't know if it's funny enough to be, like, actually good.
Right. I mean, one, you also have to take a really big squad to make it effective. You want to take a huge, like, 10-man squad.
Yeah, you're dropping, like, 500-600 points on the squad for this. Yeah.
That you're going to guarantee redeploy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. And it's only once.
Yeah. Right.
So,
right.
you know, I think that's really where their advantage is. I don't think there's anything they can really take from other legions that benefit them here. So I'm gonna say probably a low B, high C. I think.
I feel C. I feel C.
Yeah.
High C, like Ecto Cooler.
At least, unlike Ultramarines, their trait does do things.
That's true. That's true. You know, they do have Shroud Bombs, so I mean, you know, they can help you a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
But it helps them with durability. You know, you'll be able to outrange some shooting, but you know, a lot of the stuff that's effective against Terminators, it's still gonna probably hit you in right. You're still gonna be within range.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Let's go with the next S tier.
You want to go S?
I don't know. Where were you thinking?
What's your S tier pick here, Dan?
The S tier
Banana
pick.
Dan.
Banana Dan says that the Iron Hands are hecka janky on this one. They are so bizarrely kind of S tier on this particular Rite of War. It almost makes up for how much they suck as a Legion for the rest of it.
Dang.
Oh, Fighting Wards?
Oh, I actually like Iron Hands. I think they're great.
So what makes them great?
So, I mean, one, their Legion ability is amazing. So I think that's
this is the -1 to shooting attacks.
The -1 to shooting attacks. So you enhance your durability there, and also Terminators are multi-wound models. That means they get it will not die.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're going to be getting wounds back,
so
hypothetically.
Your compulsory troops have It Will Not Die. They
-1 strength against shooting.
-1 strength against shooting, which is killer. And then what was the what's the advanced reaction? Wasn't there something that they had synergy on the advanced reaction too?
If only there
was a book nearby.
Right. So I think that the -1 strength really helps the Terminators because you're not getting doubled out unless someone shoots you with las cannons, which is the most common Legion.
You're now not doubled out by Melta.
Right, yeah, high strength weaponry. So that really does save you, you know, from getting impacted by someone's like, you know.
Well, and you're already a cataphracty, so breaching isn't that great against you. You still get an invuln.
So for Iron Hands, their reaction is, when you charge me, I shoot you twice, but all my guns have Get Hot. Now, that's not a big deal for Terminators because they're saving most Get Hot stuff on a 2.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
So what, like combi weapons on them?
I mean, I struggle to go with like why you shouldn't go combi Volkite if you can, because combi Volkite, you fire it all the time. It's a billion
it's a
shots.
Minotaurus. You can just keep firing it off. Yeah.
It's like 5 points a model. I think it's really good.
Super cheap, real effective.
Yeah.
It's gonna knock down stuff that might actually shoot you.
And you're gonna have this big brick of line Terminators on a point. They have to deal with it, and shooting is not the way to deal with it, so they have to charge them.
All right, I like them in S tier.
Yeah,
that's real spicy.
I don't think there's much wrong here with them.
That's one hot
highly durable. They're getting wounds back. You know, they even have a reaction that's okay. So, I mean, they got 2.5 out of 3.
Yeah, and not for nothing, the new Morlock Terminator squad they can take as an HQ is real spicy,
real good. Real good.
So you've seen the heights of S tier.
Okay.
What do we have in D? What do we have in our
lowest of lows?
In our bottomest tier.
The bottomest tier. I gotta say Raven Guard is probably real low for me.
Okay.
I don't think they really have much going for them here.
Not this list.
They get infiltrating veterans who are a melee unit that if you infiltrate them, they can't charge.
Right. So they're gonna get shot to pieces.
Which feels not great.
Right.
The bonus they give to Terminators who are heavy troops is also not great. It is a thing that I definitely know because I run them. They get reroll 1s to wound in the assault phase if they charge.
Okay, so it's a triggered charge bonus.
Yeah.
Like I would bottom a C, probably still better than Ultramarines in this.
I would rate them higher than Ultramarines for sure.
Okay.
Because it is something, and that is better than Ultramarines. Nothing.
Right.
So, but it is. Compared to the other legions that we've been talking about, it's so little. It's so just kind of there. Now, that doesn't say you can't do something really cool, like give veterans a bunch of Nemesis bolters and spicy melee options. So that way you've got like a line unit camping on a point, pinning a bunch of dudes and shooting their faces off.
Yeah, but you're also talking about a lot of points in a dedicated unit.
That's going to run you like a 300-point unit for sure. So
it's not really durable.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're going to drop into like close range.
Certain death.
They're going to get shot to pieces.
Because you get line, but you don't get Heart of the Legion, so...
Right. Okay. What are you feeling, Dan? Take your pick.
I'm going to say, let's do White Scars.
White Scars, okay. Bike Scars, or White Scars...
are better as bike scars, so taking all Terminators for them is seemingly almost pointless.
Right. So they do get that +1 to charges and movement, which is great. But, it doesn't do much more than that.
I mean, the bonus to go first is significant with a slower army, which is what Private Legion is going to be. The plus movement is very good for like veterans because you get the bonus to charge.
Right.
So like put them in a Rhino, move the Rhino 6 or 7, they disembark 8, and then they get a charge with +1. Like that's not nothing.
You're gonna get there, but
they can't trick out weapons. They don't. Right, they don't trick out close combat weapons on a veteran squad.
Yeah, there's not any like specific war gear like Sons of Horus have. I personally like them in C.
Okay.
But I do feel like the movement bonus is not to be ignored.
No, I mean I think it's still a great bonus. I just think that once they get there, they're just Terminators.
I mean, in lore, right? Like a failure of a White Scar was put in Terminator armor. Isn't that how it was in lore?
Well, no, that's the Eben Keshig are sort of a different deal.
Okay. Yeah, but that's a special unit that's not going to benefit from Pride of the Legion.
I will say Cataphracti and White look real good.
Well, then you should.
So S tier is in terms of aesthetics.
If you paint that on
that is an S tier paint job for a D-list army, sir.
If you have White Scars, Cataphracti Terminators, we will put them in the next episode or the next recording of the episodes.
We'll print out a piece of paper and hold them here.
Right there.
And we might even try and zoom in on it.
We'll put them in front of this very book.
Perfect. All right, so let's talk about the Golden Children. We'll talk about Imperial Fists. What do they have going on, guys? Any benefit?
In this list, they don't get to exploit as much as they get to exploit in other lists.
Right.
So it's kind of meh. They're probably around the Dark Angels, where they're just not going to suck, but they're not going to be...
You can't make a bad list with Imperial Fists, is my theory, but... You know, you've got so many other good options. You've got Stone Gauntlet, you've got Templar Assault, you've got Phalanx Strike, you've got all these other things that are built in. And then, you know, look at, like, Fist. What I want to take is the Huskarls. I want those 3-up Invulnerables. Of course. Like, I want all that stuff.
But they're not a veteran squad. They're not a Cataphractii squad. They're not a Tartarus squad.
Right. So it doesn't really help. The generic Rite of War doesn't help you as much as taking one of their more specialized Rites of War.
Yeah. And I feel like the benefits that they give, so combi bolters are all twin linked built in, so hitting on 2s is not a huge deal.
It's okay, but you know, you're gonna be re-rolling everything for 3s anyways.
Right. And you know, veterans are gonna be wielding a lot of other stuff, hopefully. So it's I mean, they're still good. Imperial Fists are good. Right.
You can't make a bad Imperial Fist list at this point.
But I would probably say, like behind Dark Angels in B tier, I feel like is very fair.
I think that's effective. You know, I just don't think they gain a lot from this generic Rite of War.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now we've done a few loyalists. I think we got to go traitor, and we got to look at the bearers of the word.
The first
bearers of the word.
First
or those who bear Lorgar. If you're into the books.
He's unliked.
Ooh, he's on fire.
I actually kind of dig them. Okay. I don't think they're good, but I think there's a lot of funny stuff you can do.
Okay.
That makes me like happy, like combi plasma Terminator squads.
I knew you were going to bring this up.
It's not good, but is it kind of funny?
It's definitely rule of cool. Like, how are you taking 5 combi plasmas or 10 combi plasmas on a Cataphractii squad? Because I can.
Right.
Because Chaos Gods empower us.
Granted, those are only one-shot weapons. So you basically shoot your plasma, and then...
Can they combi in the goofy flamer that they don't have to get hot? What do they...
So all their plasma, including their combi plasma, is warp fire.
So it doesn't get hot.
Correct.
Now that's pretty janky.
I mean, it's great, but I mean, on Terminators here...
No, I get it. I mean, you'd have to like figure out how to get them real close and be a 10-man squad still, which is going to be hard. You're going to be slogging and getting shot a bunch. But to unload an entire...
Hear me out. All Cataphractii Terminators in Spartans with combi plasma. You've got maybe 25 models.
Yeah, 2 tanks, 25 models, and an HQ floating around somewhere. I guess you can put the Delegatus in the freaking tank.
The Spartans, of course, have flare shields.
Yes.
Excellent.
That's a very elite list you just put together there. I like
then you unload and you just shoot 1 billion plasma shots into something and it dies and you lose the game. But didn't you win it in spirit?
I won it in my heart, Monji.
Right. Word bearers, Pride of the Legion, when you want to win games in your heart.
It might just be the heart attack happening.
Yeah.
So
I seized the initiative.
I don't think they have a lot going for them here in this generic Rite of War and Pride. You know, I'm gonna say either like bottom of B or in C somewhere.
I'd put them in C.
I would agree with
like high C.
High C.
Yeah.
Ecto Cooler?
I mean, yeah, they're Ecto Cooler, dude. Well, I mean, because like what Monji just laid out is hilarious. Like if somebody rolled in with that to a tournament, you're like, I'm about to fight the coolest 3-minute games you've ever seen. Like, and people would. Like,
I'm gonna roll these dice and go to the bar.
I got drinking to do, boys. Like, we're clearing out. Like,
hey, for any Horus Heresy being, I'm gonna roll these dice and then we're gonna go to the bar. Great game.
Great game.
High C then.
High C. High C. Ecto Coolers.
All right. We'll drop them in high C, I think. You know, they're not gaining a whole lot. They have some kind of funny little list. you can do, but I don't think they have anything that makes them.
They don't
super
exploit.
effective.
They
They
just-
don't exploit it.
As a matter of fact, they overtax themselves, making this list good for them.
They do make you as the player happy, so really factor that into your decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
S tier.
S tier happiness, C tier C tier results.
Okay, let's talk about another Traitor Legion here. I really, really like Iron Warriors
For this list, yeah.
for this list. These guys are great.
Because
So-
veteran squads for Iron Warriors are real over the top, right?
Well, you get shrapnel bolters. You get the +1 strength against dreadnoughts. I think this is kind of a meta thing.
Right.
Their +1 strength against dreadnoughts in shooting and melee means they're actually able to
Like
More-
wound contemptors well.
Right, yeah. And it also means that unlike Ultramarines, their shooting trait is meaningful. Like giving Iron Warrior Terminators like Reaper autocannons is actually, I think, very good.
Like a legit good strategy.
Like you're going to be strength 8 against dreadnoughts and vehicles, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
You've got
absolutely.
a bunch of shots. Like
You can still glance down like armor 14.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got a
I
ton
mean-
of shots to do.
I mean, I genuinely think this is low key like a really good use of like Tartaros and Cataphracti Terminators. I think you can go sort of pinning heavy with the more veteran heavy build with frankly a very strong melee list.
Yeah.
Veterans are great because of the weapon skill 5 melee and just these guys are great.
Again, one of those legions that can really take advantage of the Age of Darkness box behind Dan. And
The one Dan is currently building.
yes.
Oh yeah, or I'm more,
Yeah.
the one I'm building on.
So, I think they have a lot going for them here, and that +1 to strength is just amazing.
Yeah, definitely agree.
And it's always turned on. You don't have to roll for it. You don't have to charge to it.
There's no leadership test.
There's no leadership test. And the +1 strength applies in melee.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's huge too.
Speaking of strength that applies all the time, let's talk our last S tier pick. Surprisingly,
The Night Lords.
the Night Lords.
I am the Night.
So you think
S for sure.
S for sure.
Yeah, they get to
Okay.
exploit the crap out of this list.
Okay.
Yeah, if one, they already have a bunch of Legion Terminator squads that you get to run in your elite slot, and then
Yes.
they really love bulky units for all that outnumbering bonus, which gives them the +2 wound in shooting and melee.
Right.
And set aside the like pinning, falling back clause on their Legion trait. A heavy Terminator list is just something Night Lords run very, very well.
Right. As Monji said, the bulky rule basically makes it so you outnumber pretty much anything you're going to be attacking, and then you're going to get that.
This is also too
Bonus.
their chain poleaxe on the sergeants is actually pretty cool in this list.
Oh,
Yeah. It definitely gives you a lot of versatility. I think leaning into like lightning claws, leaning into sort of more melee Terminator builds. They're just going to blender most things.
And they have some cool equipment upgrades for their characters.
Yeah.
So their sergeants are going to be kitted out pretty well in these, and do some real nasty
And
things too.
the reaction of running away, that's not their advanced reaction.
Yeah,
right?
their advanced reaction is like, oh, you're going to charge me, like, bye guys, I'll see you later.
I am the Night. Yeah.
Smoke bombs.
And it's really funny seeing like a bunch of Terminators like run 12 inches away from a charge and then be like, all right, eat me, see ya.
Right. And I'll be back next turn.
Yeah.
I'll see you.
Oh, no.
I'll see you in a turn.
Right. And then you lose all your charge bonuses, and you're just like, I'm a sitting duck next turn for shooting and charges.
Also, another army that looks incredible painted up. Like,
Absolutely.
especially the Tartaros kits for Night Lords, doing those with the lightning bolt and stuff. Fantastic.
You have to be an absolute psychopath to play that Legion with all the skin cloaks and corpses strapped to stuff. But God bless you if you paint it up. All right. Let's talk about the Death Guard. I love the Death Guard, the Dirty Boys.
They are not great in this list.
I'm real cold on them.
You're real cold
For
on them?
this list, they like the Death Guard are great, but taking regular Cataphracti with Death Guard is seemingly useless with all of the bonuses that they get for what they get.
It's true. You basically have redundant relentless on these guys. They don't have a whole lot that they can take advantage of here.
No, and a heavy Alchem Flamer is stupid.
Yeah.
No matter what the book tells you, a heavy Alchem Flamer is stupid. It already wounds on a 2. Why would I put Flesh Bane on an already wounds on 2 template weapon so I could roll a get hot chance? Just throwing that out there. All right.
This is a Legion where I think it looks really cool. The veteran heavy version of Pride is something that's very interesting for them. The Indomitus version of Pride is also very interesting for them. But you're kind of at cross purposes with a lot of your sort of built-in bonuses, and their specific war gear doesn't do a ton.
Alchem Flamers and being able to ignore all the movement. And I mean, the only thing you really get out of this would be veteran squads that don't care about pinning. Yeah,
which is pretty good.
But they get that already. Like, you're just putting your troops, compulsory troops, into now. I've got a veteran squad that's a compulsory troop that still doesn't care about pinning.
Yeah.
Granted, this is a once a game thing. Their advanced reaction is very good because you can, like, if you get in trouble with some high strength shooting, you can get that feel no pain.
Right, but I mean, to me, that's more of like C tier kind of play.
Yeah, you'd have to be like facing down a whole bunch of sun killers to be worried about feel no pain.
Well, then they wouldn't get the feel no pain.
Because they'd be instant death.
Yeah. If it was shrouded, we'd be talking. But
right.
So again, we're talking C tier plays. That's all I'm saying.
I think you're right. So they don't gain much because they already have it. So my recommendation is don't take a bunch of Pride units. Just take a different Rite of War.
Yeah.
Creeping Death.
I'm gonna say probably low C tier, just because they already have a lot of these innate abilities built in.
Yeah.
All right.
Only final two.
Three.
Three. Oh, right.
Three. Yeah, we never
I
talked
always
about.
Forget about the Sons of Vulcan.
Yeah. Well, no, the Sons of Vulcan we talked about. They're pretty righteous on this list.
Oh, you think?
I mean, they're not bad. They get some. They get to really exploit a couple of their tricks pretty decently. But
yeah, well, like Iron Hands, they give all the dudes in the list "It Will Not Die," which is hilarious.
Yeah, if they're multi-wound.
And the minus to wound from Melta and Plasma is great for Terminators.
Right. It enhances their durability. You're going to get that healing, on rolls of 6s. So I think that, it plays to the strength of Terminator heavy lists or even veteran squads.
Yeah. This is an army where I would love to see, like, you're running Tartaros, running Cataphracti, you're running Indomitus.
Right.
And being able to shrug off a lot of small arms fire with It Will Not Dies, being able to, tank the type of shooting that's going to go into...
even putting, like... a 10-man's veteran squad limit, right? So 10-man veteran squad tricked out with flamer, tricky salamander flamers and Melta and a Proteus is nasty. I mean, it's 400 point unit, but it's nasty.
That is actually a good point, Dan. Like any unit you build for Pride of the Legion is going to be expensive. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. This is an elite list to begin with. This is an elite Rite of War. If you have 40 models, you're probably right there where you should be. Yeah,
for sure. This is a I'm going to bring a small army of really elite badasses who are going to do cool stuff. The game's going to be an hour and a half one way or the other.
We got nukes, knives, sharp sticks. Yeah.
Pipes.
But I would say I would actually definitely put Salamanders in A tier, maybe even S.
They really do. This is probably one of the few lists that this list to them is better than the list they get as a freaking Legion.
Yeah, I kind of like them about right there. I think they're fairly consistent. I think they have a lot of stuff going for them as far as durability. But I don't think they're as strong as Iron Warriors. I don't think they're as consistent as Space Wolves. But I do think that they beat out Thousand Suns here just because they're not having to roll for their abilities.
I can agree with that, even though Thousand Suns, I think, will probably win that fight more often than not.
Think so?
Yeah.
If all you're doing is rolling 7s all day, you're in good shape.
8s.
Well, true. Their sergeant gives them an 8. All right. Last two.
Blood Angels. Do they get to exploit anything in this?
+1 to wound the turn they charge is fine.
On some hyped up, what would you do? Veterans over Terminators here?
I would do veterans. I would do veterans because of the weapon skill 5. Load them out with some power weapons. Use them to blender some enemy line stuff.
Yeah. This is just not a real good.
They don't get to
war for them.
Exploit it as well as others. Yeah.
They also have the challenge of still getting there. Much like our vaunted World Eaters, you have to get across the field. You're fairly slow, and you're really only going to have benefit on that charge. And once you get in there, you're stuck.
I mean, I will say I like them in B because, the benefit is always on. Buffing veterans, which is already a good unit, is very good.
Well, their benefit's only on once you charge.
Right, but...
Charging with vets isn't that bad of an idea.
No,
what war gear do they get to trick out on? Do they get a close combat war gear?
I think they get a power sword.
Some tricky Blood Angel power sword. I like them kind of bottom of B.
Yeah, they're in there with the other guys that are decent.
Yeah. What really separates S from A and B and C and D, the S tier and the A tier are going to have Legion traits that are always turned on. They're going to be super, super consistent at doing whatever they're good at.
Right.
The B tier and C tier, it's going to be kind of a 50-50 there. You might not always have the Legion traits or benefits that, really amp up Pride.
True that. No, I mean, Pride is there if you're the guy that wants to take the All-Terminator army, Pride of the Legion's for you.
True. I mean, the other real benefit to Pride is that you can build it, as we've mentioned, straight out of the Age of Darkness box. And that's awesome for newer players or people who are getting into this.
Well, you can mostly build it out, right? Like, you're still going to have to come up with, if you're trying to go WYSIWYG, you're still going to have to come up with some weapons that aren't in the box.
Sure.
But, other than that, yeah.
There's answers to that in terms of trades. There's
plenty of ways around it, kids.
Yeah, there's other ways to get
So
those
Blood
weapons.
Angels, their sergeants get some pretty spicy weapons and the perdition weapons.
Okay.
They can swap heavy flamers for Ilias's assault cannons, which are strength 6, assault 4, rending 6, and they get hot.
Okay.
And when they shoot as a reaction.
Right.
So I think giving access to assault cannons is pretty good. Rending shooting is always better than non-rending shooting.
Absolutely. Especially
that's 4
against
chances
other
to get
Terminators.
hot on a 2-wound model that doesn't get a save against it.
Yeah, it does. It's just
You took an armor save.
Oh,
you
never
get
mind,
a
never
2-up
mind.
armor save.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking of right.
they're going to be they're not going to really care about the
veterans
good
don't
armor.
take a 2-up armor save, do they?
Veterans can get heavy flamers.
Right, but again, you're doing 4 shots. Gets hot, and you don't get a save because you're AP3.
Only if you fire it as a reaction does it get hot.
Oh, well then, never mind. Yeah, fire away.
So, do we like them?
I like them in B. I like
Okay.
them in B.
Would you put them above Imperial Fists or Dark Angels?
I'd say they're
No.
on par.
They're on par. They're kind of in the same mix.
All 3 of those guys are really kind of running the same sort of. Like, I got this jank. I brought this jank. I've got more jank. Like, that's all,
Sure.
but it's all the same stuff, and they're not going to exploit.
The only thing
where
really
you've got a
separating
better
these three
option.
is war gear. I don't think any of these three can really take advantage of like a Legion trade or a really good advanced
No, I mean,
reaction.
well, the Dark Angels are like, if you put all the swords, you get the +1 to hit. That's a passive. You don't have to roll for it.
Sure.
But again, you're going to sit there converting for eons.
Well, I mean, conversion aren't the biggest of issue, but it's still work you got to do.
Yeah.
All right, let's round this thing out.
Fulgrim's Glorious Boys.
Glorious boys.
Fabulous Biles.
Where are we sticking them and why?
They get the swordsman thing, right?
They get +1 initiative when they charge, which their advanced reaction helps them with.
Right.
The sergeants get to take some Palatine stuff. That is the wrong book.
That book over there.
I need the Heretical Tome
Right.
of Liber Hereticus.
But yes, the initial charge really does give them an advantage, especially against a equal opponent, because you're going to get that additional initiative on that charge. Mm-hmm. So in terms of hitting first, that's pretty big.
I mean, Initiative 5 is maybe the best benefit you can get,
especially for a close combat unit.
So sergeants get a rending murderous rapier,
okay,
which is saucy, or a power spear, which is
right
murderous breaching.
That's pretty good.
Unwieldy?
No, two-handed, an
okay.
AP3 base.
Okay.
Two-handed don't swing last.
Right.
Right, and it's murderous breaching 6.
Okay. I mean, the murderous and the breaching is great, especially against other heavy elite units.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely take the. Yeah, it doesn't cost anything. It's just no points cost on that swap. So
yeah, that's pretty easy.
Oh, wow.
So I would just always run the rapier because it is rending murderous 6.
That's pretty good. I would say that's arguably some of the best war gear out of... I like them in B tier, and I think that might be some of the best war gear just because it keeps everything cheap on an already expensive unit, so you get more bodies versus...
Especially if you're going to be fighting first in melee, which you are if you're making your charge. You know, we've talked about the importance of making the charge with a few of the legions here. Emperor's Children get the best benefit out of making a charge.
Right.
And
they basically charge you on your turn.
Well, I mean, that's their advanced reaction,
right.
but also in general, right, if you need to make the charge, what is your best bonus for making that charge? Initiative, I think, is better than attacks or a bonus to wound.
Yeah.
I agree with that because, you know, you're going to hit first and be able to kind of reduce the number of incoming damage.
Now, the caveat here is Terminators are obviously going to take a bunch of unwieldy weapons.
Right.
Because that's what's in the plastic kits. You want to take things that will let you use your initiatives. You're talking lightning claws, you're talking power weapons, you're talking stuff like that.
You get lightning claws in the box. You can do all lightning.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't want to like take the power fists or the chain fists because you want to capitalize on your bonus to initiative.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so where are we thinking about putting them?
I kind of like them in high B.
High B or right behind or right next to the Thousand Suns. I mean, that's pretty spicy stuff to be able to...
I'm going to put them there.
Passive.
I think the reason I'm putting them there is, again, that initiative bonus is really, really good. They have the free weapon upgrades, unlike DA, who's going to have less bodies overall. So I think it makes for a great list of, you know, hard-hitting fighters that are going to be probably striking first.
And honestly, I think running like Fulgrim in a list like this is real nice.
Yeah, I think, you know, with all the points you save on war gear, you can start to think about Fulgrim.
Yeah. Words. Well, definitely the DA. By the time you get done tricking him out, the line ain't showing. You ain't got.
He's
points.
up in the ship.
Yeah. He's up in the invincible reasons.
So
talking about his invincible reasons.
There is one last, thing we want to talk about with this Rite of War, which is sort of making its way around the internet, which is 60 Indomitus Terminators as your whole list.
Okay.
So Indomitus Terminators gain line as long as you have Pride of the Legion.
Right.
So you can take them as compulsory, you can take them as regular troops because they're just a troop choice.
Yes.
And if you take them as a unit in Pride, they are all line.
Yeah.
So 60 scoring Terminators with Storm Shields and Thunder Hammers or Lightning Claws if you want to go for the 5-up, like
baby custodes.
It's definitely strong.
Yeah, you end up with 60 bodies that are incredibly hard to shift. They have invuln saves. They have a 2-up. I mean,
brutal 2 with the Thunder Hammer.
Yeah, that.
But it is unwieldy, so they're always swinging last. Their initiative is crap.
True, but I mean, you still have to get through a ton of wounds and a ton of bodies.
But I mean, especially you want to talk like a Sons of Horus list that'll be really scary. Is I've got a bunch of Thunder Hammers coming in, they're gonna be at minuses to wound me when I get there.
Right.
Like,
or even just take some of their special war gear too.
Yeah, because taking the can Indominus take power weapons? I don't know.
If only we had the internet in front of us.
Right.
What I can say is I think it's a very strong list. But I think there's 2 things that hold it back for me.
Okay.
Firstly, it's one of those things that is like, you can run that once, and then the people who want to play you will go down dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be Custodes players, and that's it.
That's the friend ender for sure.
So I think that's definitely a consideration with bringing a skew list like that. And the second thing is, they're 40k Terminators, like, especially if you just run the kit straight up, so they have a Crux Terminatus.
Ew.
I mean, like, if you're going to do it, I will definitely respect you more if you make them look more 30k.
Oh, I see what you're saying. If you just take them out of the box, it's the rule of uncool.
I mean, they've got a thing that doesn't exist, and it bothers me.
Yeah. Throw some different shoulder pads on them. You know, put some bits in there.
They don't have shoulder pads. That's the
do what they did with the Morlocks. Yeah, just put the cataphracti shoulders on them. They look amazing.
And tassels and stuff.
Yeah.
Everything looks better in tassels.
That's true.
True.
That's why we play Horus Heresy.
For tassels.
And cloaks.
And extra widgets and bits.
And on that revelation.
Indeed.
I think we're going to close it out there.
That's another tier list down.
So many more
for
to
a different tier list.
So many more to go. So
we're a tier list channel now.
That's all we do.
Yeah, once a month.
I mean, we have to anger the internet somehow.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is the
Damn
best way
you,
to do
internet.
it.
You've made us piss you off again.
Yeah. So anyways, I am Ryan.
I'm Monji.
I'm still Banana Dan.
Banana Dan. And keep rolling them bones, and we'll catch you next time from the Bull's basement.
See you next time.